What's going on, YouTube world? My name is Jason. I just want to thank you for rocking with me today. I'm actually putting my first video out today. I'm going to do a brief discussion and mention 3 key ideas in Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, which is authored by Dennis Kimbrough and Napoleon Hill. Key number 1, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, is we are mental beings. Now, I'll be honest with you. I get up in the morning, I got sleep all in my eyes, my beard is nappy, I got acne and acne scars all on my face, and it messes with me sometimes, right? Because I identify myself with what I see in the mirror. But I'm here to tell you, and one of the key points in this book is that you are not your body, right? You are a mental being. So what does that mean? That means that one of the greatest gifts received is the ability to think, the ability to make a choice, but just thinking in general, right? And we take it for granted, but our thoughts produce tangible things, right? Have you ever just sat back and think about that? Like, our thoughts produce tangible things. And to some of you, this is probably gonna sound a little messed up, because to me, I was a little, a little taken back by it. But when you think about where you are, where we are in our lives right now, it's a representation of our thinking. Because if our thoughts produce tangible things, our thoughts are producing the results, the circumstances, the situations that we have in our lives right now as well, right? And if you're like me, when I first heard that, my first reaction was like, man, I wasn't thinking I want to be broke. That's not an I am statement that I had. I want to be broke. I don't want to have good relationships. But subconsciously, we do have a lot of those thoughts. So it may not be something that you just like, I want to be broke, but if you really look back and kind of check what you're thinking, then chances are that you are thinking about those negative circumstances. Ralph Waldo Emerson is quoted as saying, a man is what he thinks about all day long. So if you don't like where you are, if you don't like those circumstances, we have to come to grips that we're thinking about some things we don't need to be thinking about. And then we need to take that responsibility and start thinking differently. One of the cool parts in this book is Dr. Kimbrough mentions 7 mental laws. 2 I want to discuss is the law of cause and effect and the law of attraction. The law of cause and effect is basically what I've just been saying. Our thoughts are the causes, and the effects are the circumstances, the situations that is in our lives. So for you, if you're in a circumstance, you're in a situation that you don't want to be in, something that's negative, chances are the cause of that is your thinking. Now, there is a law of polarity out there, and bad things are going to happen. So before you jump on my case about, well, I didn't think about this, and I didn't cause this person to do this to me, or I didn't think about this, bad things do happen, all right? You don't have to think about every bad thing that's going to happen. You talk about luck, sometimes good things happen that you didn't think about as well. So there is a balance. There's a law of polarity out there where good things are going to happen, bad things are going to happen. It's going to kind of balance ourselves out. But for the most part, you dictate where you are in this world. You dictate where you stand as far as your circumstances, situations. If you want to get biblical with it, I don't know the verse off the top of my head. I can't tell you where it is, but it goes, whatsoever a man sows, that shall he reap, right? So you got to ask yourself, what am I sowing in my thoughts? What am I sowing in my actions? What am I sowing in even the words that I speak? Because those things that I'm sowing, that's what I'm reaping right now. Now, the second one we want to talk about is the law of attraction, okay? Now, for some of you that have seen The Secret, or if you're already kind of into the personal development space, you might be very familiar with this, right? The law of attraction it's a huge one out there. But for those of you that aren't familiar with that, basically it's just like attracts like. Now, if you're like me, I love science back in the day. I always remember that opposites attract. But when we're talking about humans, it's basically like attracts like. We attract those things that are like us, right? We attract those things that our mind is stayed upon. So an example, like myself, very interested in running right now, right? I've been doing a lot of running here lately. So the minute I hear somebody discussing like running, like my antennas just perk up, right? Spidey senses just going crazy. Like, oh, somebody's talking about running. I want to get in that conversation, right? Like attracts like. And now, you know, and I can't say that I've consciously done this, but I have a lot of friends now, a lot of people that I'm acquainted with that are runners that I never would have been friends with before, right? I never would have talked to these people before, but just the fact that they're runners, they do half marathons, they do 10Ks and 5Ks and marathons, like we're just attracted to each other now. So add that law of attraction with the law of cause and effect. Now you can see how the things that you're thinking starts to attract those circumstances, right? You hear about people that's always in messed up relationships. They always seem to attract the same person. The thing is, my thinking, I keep attracting that same type of person, right? I keep inviting that person into my life based on the type of thinking that I've been doing. Okay, now that's another one that's gonna be kind of hard for a lot of people to take, but you know, I gotta change how I feel about myself. You know, I don't want to attract that type of person, and obviously it's something that I think about myself that I keep attracting that type of person. Now we talk about money a lot, and if you're not getting it like that, you might be self-sabotaging yourself the way that I've done for so long, right? And you might be saying that I'm broke. You know, you might be saying that I'm not worthy enough to do this. I'm not smart enough to do this. I'm not able to handle money like that, you know? And you start attracting those situations in your life. You start attracting situations where you're not going to have money to manage, right? So we want to start thinking those different thoughts, those positive thoughts, which brings me to a quote, and I had to write this one down too, by a gentleman named William James. And he basically said the greatest discovery in my generation, and I'm just paraphrasing this, but he said the greatest discovery in my generation is that humans have the ability to alter their lives by altering the attitudes of their minds. You can alter your lives by altering the attitudes of your minds, right? So you thought yourself into this mess, now you can think yourself out of this mess, okay? And that brings us to a point that I want to drive right now. And you may be thinking, like, why do so many people fail? You know, why is it that so many people are unsuccessful? Now, there are certain things that I kind of discussed earlier that are kind of out of our hands. But a lot of times, we didn't make the choice. And that word choice is a very powerful word. So, you know, brothers, or it could be sisters that come from a broken home, and you got that one that just, they succumb to the streets. It could be drugs, it could be, you know, gang life, it could be whatever. But you got that one that succumbs to it. And then you got that other one that you wouldn't even know that they grew up in the house. You know, they subscribe to be an entrepreneur. They may want to go to college, or they may want to play ball or something different. They grew up in the same situation. They had the same negative circumstances. They had the same things happen to them. But one decides to go one route, one decides to go the other route. It's a choice that they made. You have that freedom to make a choice. You have that freedom to make a decision, right? And it's powerful. And we truly underestimate that. Truly underestimate that. So what we want to do is start looking at these mental laws, start looking at the causes and the effects of what we've been thinking. And we want to start changing our choices, okay? I got another huge quote here, and I had to write this one down. This one is by the man Booker T. Washington. Now, he was stated as saying, the circumstances that surround a man's life are not important. How that man responds to those circumstances is important. His response is the ultimate determining factor between success and failure. I'll read that one more time, all right? The circumstances that surround a man's life are not important. How that man responds to those circumstances is important. His response is the ultimate determining factor between success and failure. How are we going to respond? First key, you are a mental being. Let's up our level of thinking. And now we're going to get into this second key. All right, our second key idea in Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice is use your imagination. That is a huge. Use your imagination. You can imagine it, you can make it happen. And I'm gonna say that one more time because that it kind of fly by if you don't really catch it. But if you can imagine yourself doing something, we have the ability to create anything that we imagine. So if you can see yourself through your imagination, we can make that happen. Our ideas are the starting point of all success, right? You hear people say a lot of times, like, all it takes is one idea, all it takes is one idea. And it's true. Like, just being creative, your creative thinking, coming up with an idea, that's the starting point right there, okay? You want to be able to use your imagination. I wrote down a quote that Einstein said on imagination. He said, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, but imagination embraces the entire world. It stimulates progress, and it gives birth to evolution. How do we create our creative imagination? You know, how do we unlock that, excuse me? And I wrote down 3 keys, and I think they mentioned this in the book. And it's more, but I only wrote down 3 that we want to highlight here. The first is get yourself into a relaxed state, right? Now, I say that, and the first thing people are going to think that I'm talking about is meditation. They're going to think I'm talking about just sitting still and being quiet. Now, if that's you, that could be you. That might be something that you need to do. But a relaxed state for one person is different for another. Myself, I find a great relaxed state when I'm running, okay? When I'm doing dishes and I got my music playing or whatever it may be, or if I'm running when I got my music playing, I'm in a relaxed state. So get yourself in a relaxed state. I'm not gonna tell you what that is. You know what that is for you. Get yourself in that relaxed state. That's the first key. The second one is visualization. Now, usually when people think about imagination, that's the first thing they think about is visualization. If you can get yourself to seeing things like even in that first person, like do that. You know, you want to practice seeing yourself doing those things. You want to practice seeing yourself speaking on stage if that's something that you need to do. You want to practice seeing yourself with money, right? And it could be different things. It might be books that you read that may spark up the imagination, spark up the visualization of doing that. Get yourself in that relaxed state, then get yourself visualizing. Now, the third one is affirmation, okay? And this one I've wrestled with before because you hear people talk about affirmation. I got my reservations, whatever that word is I'm trying to say. I got my opinions on affirmations, but it needs to be mentioned here as well because it is key. Now, my thing is, I don't like it when people just blindly say, I am statements. Just start telling yourself, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am rich, I am, wealthy, I am, you can do that, but let's just be honest, you're not really feeling that, right? You're not really, you broke. Let's just be honest, you don't have it like that. So I'll list this one as last because there's a scripture in the Bible, I want to say it's in Luke. And basically at the end of this scripture, it says, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Okay, I'm going to repeat that one more time. It says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Right? And that's key because when you think about the abundance of the heart, that's your true inner self. And that's your thoughts. That abundance that you have that's building up, that festering, that's your thoughts. So if we go back to our original being a mental being, or even if we just go back to now, you think about the amount of thoughts that you have. You think about the imagination, the visualization. Once you keep up with the same things, right? You keep visualizing yourself being wealthy. You keep imagining yourself being wealthy. You keep having these thoughts of being able to manage money. Eventually, that abundance of those thoughts is going to come with you speaking it out. I'm an expert money man. Oh, I know how to handle money. I know I can handle money now. Oh, I know I'm going to get it. I know I'm going to make money. Let that abundance of thoughts be your affirmation. you know. And I know some people may think differently on this, but this is just my opinion of it. I've never gotten anything out of just blindly just saying, oh, I'm rich, when I felt broke, okay? Some people may have. It, you know, if that works for you, that's cool, that works for you. That's never worked for me. But I know when I've, you know, just been so confident in certain things, and you know, sometimes you just in that mode. You've been thinking about something for so long, and you just know it's gonna happen. You just speak it. Like it may be an interview that you are going for this job, and you've just been thinking about it just positively. You just see yourself at this job, and somebody may ask you like, man, how you feel about this job? And you just may blurt out without even thinking, oh, that job is mine. I got this. I'm just ready for the interview just so I can go ahead and say what I need to say so they can offer me this you know, position or whatever. That's an affirmation in itself, if you ask me. You letting the abundance of your thoughts, the abundance in your heart speak. And that's more powerful than anything, because you speak that into the universe. So that's that third key right there, is affirmation. You can practice with those I am statements and just kind of going against the grain, but I would rather you really get down the thinking portion, the imagination portion, and then let that be the catalyst for you speaking things out in the world into existence. All right. So with that, let's get into our third and final key, which is going to be desire. All right. Our third key idea in Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice, is to have a desire. Now, if you're familiar with the original Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill expresses a burning desire. And Dr. Kimbrough, he talks about the same thing in here. He'll talk about a burning desire, and it's just that one thing that you must do, that one thing that you have to do, that one thing that everything else is just tossed to the back, because this is what needs to get done. This is what's going to get accomplished. In the book, it's quoted as saying, a burning desire is the real source of genius. And I thought that was important just to point that out, because you think about geniuses of our time, and really you see somebody that's single-minded, you know, somebody that's just focused on that one thing, and they're not going to let anything else deter them from getting that. You know, we call those people genius, whether it's in music, whether it's in art, whether it's in sports, whatever it may be. We see that person as a genius, but what that genius really is, it's that burning desire that they didn't allow anything else to get in the way of them reaching that goal that they set. So I talk about goals now. I say that goal, what you want to do with that desire is let that be the catalyst for you creating goals and setting goals for yourself. When you figure out what that desire is, which you probably already know, in order to reach that desire, you want to start setting goals, okay? One thing that I wrote, and I believe this was written actually in The One Percenter's Mind by Sean Crockton. He said that a successful mind is well ordered, and that's what goals do. They provide structure, okay? I wrote down a few little points here for setting goals. Now, I'm not going to go into that right now. Maybe that'll be a video in the future. But for successful people that do set goals, you have to make it clear and specific, okay? This can't be something that's very vague and very general. It has to be clear and specific. If somebody else was to see this goal, they should know exactly what you're talking about. They should know exactly where you're aiming, okay? It should stretch you, right? It should stretch you. In your goal, it should be some growth. And I can't think of the person that said this right now. But I don't know if it was Jim Rohn or if it was Wayne Dyer. I want to say it was probably Jim Rohn. And basically, he was talking about becoming a millionaire and having that be a goal. But the reason why he was talking about that being a goal, it wasn't the fact that you have the $1 million, right? It was because to become a millionaire, you have to become a totally different person to reach that goal. If you become a millionaire, you're not going to be the same person that you were, unless you win the lottery, and that's something totally different. We'll talk about that later, because that's the reason why a lot of people win the lottery and they 5 years, 6 years later, they right back to the same mess that they were in. But if you're doing it the hard work way, if you're doing it the grind way, the hustle way, and you become a millionaire, you're not going to be the same person at the end of that journey that you were when you started. So you want your goals to be something that's going to cause that growth, something that's going to stretch you, okay? Our next thing is put a date on it, right? Put a date on it. You put a date on it, you want to apply a little bit of pressure to yourself. Now, that's not to say that it's going to happen at that date. It may happen before, it may happen after. If it happens after, that's fine. Put another date on it, right? But put a date on it. Give yourself a little bit of pressure and boundary to make this happen, okay? And the last one is put it to action daily. Do something daily. Now, it could be, bam, getting in my book right now, right? It could be writing in a journal. It could be, reaching out to somebody just to get some ideas from, or just showing gratitude. It could be a myriad of things, but you want to put some action daily towards those goals, okay? I'm close to closing out with these key ideas, but there's a couple things I wanted to point out here, and I wrote this one down. It says, anyone capable to produce an intense desire in his or her own mind is capable to achieve that desire, right? If you are capable, if you can produce an intense desire in your heart, you're also capable to achieve that desire. You got to know that this desire is here for a reason. You have what it takes to make that happen. I'm going to close this last key desire, or this last key idea, with the quote that Denzel Washington made. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. I'll say that one more time, all right? True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already, all right? So I'm just here to tell you guys right now, it's yours already. That desire that you have in your heart, that's God's proof to you that it's yours already. Now you just got to get your mind right and go get it. Go bring that thing into fruition, okay? So that's my discussion on this book. I just want to thank you for rocking with me this whole time and doing so. I plan on doing many other book reviews. This channel, I just wanted to be an inspiration to those out there, especially in the Black community, right? If you have some books that you want me to read and do a review over, go ahead and put that in the comments. I'll look into those books. I think the next review that I'm going to do is actually going to be Charlemagne the God's Black Privilege. If you haven't read that book already, it's an awesome book, and I can't wait to dive into it again and get into the key principles and the key ideas in that book, because it's an awesome book. But before I cut out of here, I did link this book in the description. It is an affiliate link as well to Amazon, so just being transparent. If you were to click on that link and buy that book, I am compensated for that. So I just want to just be all out transparent on that. But there is an affiliate link for this book there. Or if you have access to it at your local library, go ahead and rent it out at your local library. You do yourself the justice and the service of getting this book into your hands. I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. Once again, I want to thank you for rocking with me this whole time. I know this is a long video. Y'all don't know me like that, but I appreciate it. Special shout out to my family, my two boys, Letitia, my baby, and another special shout out to the Money Mind Academy group and to Sean Croxton, man. You lit a fire under me to do this. Once again, his website is www.seancroxton.com. Please go on his website, support that man. Get that ebook, The 1%er's Mind. Thank you once again. I am out.